A Tampa Bay county joined the growing list of governments nationwide who are suing drug manufacturers over the opioid epidemic. Hillsborough County is now going after the drug industry. Since the Suncoast is part of the epicenter of the opioid epidemic in Florida, we wanted to ask our guest host, lawyer Kathy Carson-Fryman, how these lawsuits could help counties plagued by the opioid crisis. All right, Kathy, what do counties have to gain by suing the drug manufacturers and the pharmacies?
Well, a lot of the same things that happened in the 90s with big tobacco, that's kind of what we're seeing here. What they want is money to pay for this problem, whether that be education and prevention or just actually dealing with the problem. Rehab centers, foster care, all the things that are costing so much money for these individual counties, some of which have been just hit by unbelievable numbers of opioid addiction.
So it isn't necessarily about throwing blame, but about trying to get the funds to fight it.
Exactly. It's saying, listen, well, it's kind of throwing blame. It's saying, listen, for these pharmaceutical manufacturers, you were deceptive. This was, you were deceptive in your marketing. You really pushed that this was the only way to treat chronic pain, that these were not addictive, that they had a 1% or less chance of causing patients to be addicted. They also, the pharmaceutical companies they found were funding these seemingly unbiased patient advocacy groups, and they were giving them a lot of money to really push for these drugs and really push for doctors to prescribe them. So the lawsuit's saying because of these deceptive practices, the public, and not only the public, but medical professionals believed that these drugs were safe, and so they prescribed them. Meanwhile, they find out, that many of these claims there were no peer-reviewed studies to back these up, and a lot of the things they said just were not correct.
Oh, that really bothers me. I didn't know that. So they lied to us. Well, why can a company make something that kills people? That part bothers me. When I had hip surgery and I knew I had to take pills, I did not want any of those. I was terrified. They ought to be able to make something
but
that
there are people that use opioids and they don't have a problem, they don't have an addiction, and it is just a way that the best way that they have found to battle pain. So isn't it really the tool?
I think it's the tool, but the allegation is that the manufacturers were not honest in that. They were pushing it for everyone.
Gotcha.
They were pushing it as something that could be safely prescribed to the general population, and I think that the numbers show that that was not a correct assumption. They were incorrect in that. So I don't think anyone's saying that there's no sector of the population that should be allowed to take these. What they're saying is it shouldn't be something that everyone can take. And so that's what they're going after the manufacturers with. With the actual pharmacies, like CVS, they're saying, listen, you were getting these huge numbers for some of these counties. Like there's one pharmacy in Pasco County that the city only had 24,000 people. The actual amount of pills for the year were over 2 million, which equaled like 60-something pills per person in that city per year. They're saying you had numbers that were so outrageous, you breached your duty to say something, to warn people that this was a problem. And you did it because you were making so much money selling these particular pharmaceuticals.
Okay, all right, the great insight into this story that seemed to not make a lot of sense to me at least, and it'll be interesting to see if our county follows suit as well.